Hey guys, Joe here, and let's do a deep dive into my favorite hook found in the BKK OCD box, specifically for summertime fishing. That is the Longshank Dropshot hook. I love to Texas rig with a straight shank dropshot hook. You could get like the Hayabusa FPP, the owner cover shot, the RoboWorm rebarb, but I have told you in previous episodes why I love that Longshank Dropshot hook from BKK, and today we're going to talk specifically what baits I use in the summertime. So we're going to go over why a finesse worm and why a lizard are my favorite two dropshot baits. So stick around, we're going to do a deep dive coming up next.
Two-time NPFL champ, SaveMore Outdoors Pro from Sapulpa, Oklahoma. Put your hands together for the hookup, John Soka.
Hey guys, welcome back to another SaveMore FishMore segment of the day. Again, I'm Joe LaBarbera from the Outer Realm, and we are going to dive into my two favorite Texas rig drop shot baits for summertime fishing. So we're gonna talk about when and why I utilize them, how I kind of doll them up to get a few extra bites, and why I believe you guys need to implement these into your arsenal. So first, let's kind of start with the 5-inch finesse worm. I believe that this is kind of how I like to start the year. So bass season opens in New York on June 15th. Doesn't matter the day of the week or the year. It opens on June 15th every year. And usually by then, largemouth are either just finishing up spawning or post-spawn. Now we had a pretty strong winter this year, so summertime, post-spawn, and further into summer fishing might be more like July 1st this year. But my first go-to technique when I start trying to fish submerged grass in the north is always going to be a 5-inch finesse worm. And I like to Texas rig that 5-inch finesse worm on a #1 BKK Longshank Dropshot hook. So all I do is I usually have this bait rigged on about a 5/16 lead drop shot weight, and I'll talk in a second why the lead's important. But all I do is I take this #1. I love the gap on the #1. If I was using a RoboWorm, I would go to a 1/0. If I was using the owner cover shot, I would stay with the #1. And if I was in Hayabusa, I would stay with the #1. The reason being, all of those that are a #1, these 3 out of 4 brands, all have a bigger gap. The reason I would go to a 1/0 is the gap isn't big enough in that RoboWorm hook for me, okay? I like a little bit more of a gap. I feel like I have a better hookup ratio. But all I do is I grab a little, I slide it down to the fluorocarbon keeper, and then I just put that hook point back inside the bait a little bit to keep it weedless. I'm throwing that 5/16 lead weight into grass clumps. I am dragging it through the grass, but the best part is, once it kind of gets hung up, giving it that wrist flick to kind of pop it free, I feel like that looks like a bluegill or a perch or any of our northern forage kind of getting out of the grass, and those fish usually come and hit it on the fall after that. So it's kind of feeling and getting through the soft grass, dragging it through soft stuff, and then when I get something thick enough to hang it on, boop, pop it free, let it fall into a hole, and usually a good largemouth will go down and get it then. All right, so I like a 5/16 and I like it in lead because it's big enough to get grabbed by that thick, fresh growing grass around the 1st of July. Now, as the season progresses, as we start getting around August 1st, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to use a little bigger bait that stands out a little better. Okay, so that's when I start going to a lizard and I start trying to get that lizard on a little bigger hook. Now, since I switched to these BKK long shot drop shot hooks, or Longshank drop shot hooks rather, I can go all the way up to a 2/0. This 2/0 may look a tad oversized at first, but since I know I have great penetrating power from the armor point wire, kind of get that through. Give it a twist. Just kind of expose that point back in. Oh, I didn't do a great job. These things are so slimy. There we go, that looks better. Now I have a 2/0 Longshank drop shot hook in my lizard. I feel like this sticks out a little bit better as we get into around the beginning of August, when that grass growth becomes a little more prominent. Now the other thing I like to do when I go to the lizard is I'm usually using it in either green pumpkin or watermelon, I'm always dipping about 3/4 of this tail in chartreuse spike it. I feel like it looks like a juvenile bluegill's tail when you spike it and make it bright, okay? For years, there were guys on some of our northern lakes fishing Sankos that were like green pumpkin with a chartreuse tail, or even black with a chartreuse tail. And I like to dip my watermelon and my green pumpkin, just the tips of the tails, in chartreuse. I feel like it really pops in kind of our emerald and blue waters up here, because we have really clear water in most of the north, and it really looks like a bluegill. All right, so 2/0 on the lizard around August 1st. As soon as those fish kind of go spawn or post-spawn, I was on that little 5-inch. That'll start to get put away around August 1st. So number 1 with a 5-inch finesse worm, 2/0 with this 5 or probably 5.5-inch lizard. All right. Those are my go-to drop shot baits all summer long. Do not sleep on these, and do not sleep on this style, the straight shank Longshank drop shot hook. BKK definitely makes the best one on the planet. They've had enough years to see the other brands making theirs. This is the way to go. This was designed by Cooper and by Cliff Pace. Don't sleep on this one. All right. Thanks for sticking with us today. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I hope you can kind of convert this into more catches for your summertime fishing. We'll see you guys out on the water soon. All right. Peace.